Hi everyone, this is Melissa with Sew Steady, and today we are going to be doing our Stepping Up pattern that we received on our Elevate summer box. So fun, easy, super simple pattern, and you can size it to any size you want. The size that we are making is a 48 by 56. I tried to zoom enough here to where you guys could kind of get an idea of the scale. But it really creates this really cool, you can see why it's called Stepping Up. It creates this really neat step up pattern. The way that it's constructed is just super simple so that you can make it as big or as small as you want. So you could do a table topper, you could do a table runner, you could make it into a full-size quilt, queen, king, whatever you wanted. Easily, you can just keep building on it and keep making more steps. So that's simple. So this was my version of it, and I ended up quilting it all ruler work, believe it or not. I was quite impressed with myself. I've never done this much ruler work in a long time on this big of a quilt, and I used our continuous rope border template. So I'll show you a little bit of that, but again, a fun project, easy project to put together, easy to cut. You're really just doing these rectangles, and then it's just how you piece them together, and you can play with fun colors. I decided to just do a 2-color scheme. I really wanted to see the steps, have them stand out. And then on the back, you'll be able to see the ruler work. I'll zoom in a little bit. I'll take this down and then we can zoom in a little bit closer and you can see the ruler work, but it's also on the pattern as well, printed. You can see I ended up doing the rope and borders at a diagonal. I thought that might be kind of fun and offset what the pattern of the stepping that you see here. So for today, we're going to film a little bit of cutting it and piecing it. I'm not going to do obviously another one this size. I'll probably do just like a table runner size. So maybe three rows I'll do. And then I'll show you how to do the rope and border at a diagonal like that and make a fun edge-to-edge quilt design basically on the back of your quilt or whatever you end up deciding to do. So that is what we're going to be focusing on today. So I hope you enjoy the class and let's get started. Okay, so the Stepping Up pattern that included in your Elevate Club box. So this is a great first-time quilter, beginner-friendly quilt pattern. It's just simple triangle or rectangles, so there's no tricky piecing or nothing difficult, no weird shapes with it. And then it's really easy to line up your seams. You don't have any difficult intersections or anything like that. Really forgiving when you're doing your piecing. So if that's what you're looking for, something simple to dive in, maybe doing a bigger quilt than you've done before, this is a great project to start that on. I thought it was really nice too because you can feel successful when you get done with it, and you can make a larger quilt project and not pull out all your hair. So if you're looking to start something that's easy, but you want to do something a little bit bigger than what you're used to, great pattern to start with. And you get to play around with the colors. It's got a great like optical illusion with the steps, I feel like is kind of cool. So it definitely is interesting, and when you get the right color combination, it can be really stunning. So I hope you guys take a chance to do this. It'll be a lot of fun. And then for the quilting, as you can see here, I used the rope border for the entire quilting on this. I did it all by ruler work by hand because I don't know why. It was a challenge and I wanted to do it, but I thought it made a really cool design on the quilt. Now I used kind of a darker fabric on the front. So, I mean, unless you're here in person, you probably can't see it as well because I used like a gold shimmery thread. But then on the back, I just used a white backing and you can really see it on the back, which is kind of cool. It really stands out. So our rope templates, a lot of times they're used for borders, but they, as you can see, they can make a really cool all over quilt pattern too, almost like an edge to edge if you'd like. Or you could just be filling up blocks if you wanted something to fill in a block. Really easy to do that. All of our ropes, continuous rope borders come with an echo on them too. So let me turn it upside right. Sorry, I had it upside down. This is just right out of our catalog. So you can download our catalog as a PDF on our website and you'll get this, let's see, it's on page 21. But I liked it because it gave you a nice visual of all the continuous rope and echo templates we have and the different sizes and the different shapes that they come in. So this is kind of a nice little cheat sheet to have if you're looking for, um, you know, different designs that you want to do on your quilt. So that is what I'm going to do today. And we're going to be using the Heart and Rope Echo template that was in our club box right here. So we'll be focusing on that. We'll be piecing together. So what I'm going to do is do a 12 block version of this to be like a table runner, since I've already done the full size quilt. So I can walk you through how to piece it together, and then we'll get into the ruler work of doing the border. And I will do it as a diagonal as well, just to show you how I got that effect doing it as a diagonal versus just, you know, back and forth in a straight line, because I think that gave it a nice effect as well. So let's get out our fabric. Let's get out the pattern. We're going to do some cutting. Again, these are all the different rope templates we have, but we're going to be using the Heart rope template in the box. But it is nice to know too that they come in different sizes. So if you feel like this one was a little small for if you're doing like the full size quilt, definitely check out our other ones because they do come in bigger sizes, and that will help fill up your quilt a little bit better. So let's get to it. Okay, so for the prep, you're going to pick out your color scheme if you're going to do 2 colors or multicolors. Did it show? I don't think this one showed it, but I kind of liked the 2 colors. I thought it was a more of a dramatic look with 2 colors, but do whatever you want to do. You could do, like, I was thinking light colors to dark colors. You could do start off with like whatever color scheme you wanted, blues or whatever, and do light blues and then work your way to dark, or vice versa. Something like that might be kind of cool as well. So again, I'm just going to do more of a table runner size. So I'm going to do 12 blocks. I'm going to do 6 across twice. So I'm just going to do that size of a table runner. And really easy, you're just cutting your rectangles. So you can do it like they show, where you can cut longer strips, piece them together, and then cut your sections out of your blocks. I just cut out my blocks and then I'll piece my blocks together. That was easier for me than working with long strips. So, but do whatever's, you know, works for you. And you're going to be cutting them. So at the end, you want your rectangles 8.5 by 4.5. And then we're going to piece those together and just make the blocks. And then we'll put our blocks together. And all you're doing is alternating how the blocks go to get your stepping up. So I'm going to do black and white. I thought that might be kind of cool. I was going to see what that, you know, see how it turns out. So I'm going to do black and white. I've got 12 of each. Got to make my 12 blocks. Again, really simple. There's not a lot to go over. I used obviously our adjustable cutting ruler to cut out my rectangles. Easy enough. So we're just going to start piecing the blocks together. Okay, so I'm just going to chain piece my blocks together, and yeah, I think it's going to go pretty fast. I did press them and put a little spray starch on them so they're nice and straight. Everything should match up hopefully pretty good, and really easy to chain piece all these together. Again, this is what I think, it comes together just so fast. Which is really nice. I'm getting ready to work on our pattern for our Q4 box, and it's very simple too, very easy, comes together super fast. It's a different design altogether. But again, it's just, I love how it's these simple designs, but just how they're laid out, it's stunning, and it's a great quilt. So it doesn't need to be super intricate, difficult. I mean, it's fun to do intricate ones if you think of, you know, doing a full quilt that with like the chains block or something like that. Might be overwhelming for the first time if you're new to quilting. This white, I have to really look at it because it's got the faintest design on one side. And I keep feeling like I'm going to put it on there backwards. I've done that before with this fabric. I really like it, but it's one of those ones where you have to kind of look to see where the sheen is at, because it's just got a slight sheen on one side with these little flowers. And if I don't have it in the right light, I can't tell which way's up and which way's down. But I'm excited to see what the black and white look like. if I like it, I might end up doing a full-size quilt with a black and white. I don't know. And then I was already trying to think of what color thread we could do the quilting on it with to do the rope border. We could do a red. Red always stands out really nice on a black and white. Or silver. Maybe like a really pretty silver would stand out nicely. We'll see. So I'll probably do half of these. So I'm not hanging on the floor too much back there. Go press them and then I'll do the other half. Kind of break it up a little bit. And you'll see why it's really forgiving too, how it comes together. You don't really line up any seams per se because of how the blocks are laid out. So it's nice if you're worried about that on a bigger quilt project. Let's see how many I've done so far. One, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, let me stop there. I'm going to go press these ones so I can get them sitting nice and pressed, and then I'll start the other section. Be right back. Okay, those are over there getting pressed, or I just pressed them, so they're over there just sitting now. And let me get the rest of these done. I was thinking too, you know, you could use this pattern as kind of a guide and make the blocks smaller if you wanted, you know, still do a rectangle, obviously, proportionately, you want it to be a rectangle to do the stair steps, but you could make them smaller steps. Kind of mix it up a little bit. I feel like these big ones do make it go fast, and then, you know, obviously you can get a bigger quilt done a lot faster with the bigger blocks, but if you wanted something a little more intricate, you could make them smaller rectangles and then just lay them out the same way to get the stair stepping. Oh, my dogs are really barking at something. They bark at any time someone walks down the street, and they can see them coming like a mile away. So they start barking a mile in advance. They're so goofy. Okay, so again, I'm just doing 12 blocks, which is going to give me 2 rows. And then I'll do a border around it. It'll be enough for a nice table runner. So this is the last of 12. Again, that's how fast it comes together. So 2 rows. Let's see, how many rows was it all together? Let's look at that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's only 7 rows. So you see how fast 2 come together. Doing 7 rows would not take long at all. and it didn't. When I pieced it together, it came together super fast. I think that's why I was kind of motivated to do something more intricate for the ruler work, because the quilt came together so fast. It was kind of fun to then just slow down and come up with a fun design for the ruler work. So, all right, that is all 12 blocks. I'm going to go press these, and then we're going to start putting our blocks together. Okay, so we're just going to start piecing our rows together. It's helpful to follow the diagram when you're doing it so you know which way to rotate them as you're putting them together to make your steps. So I kind of had it laid out, and then I have the diagram right here I can refer to as well, especially when you're just doing, if you're doing multiple colors, maybe you want to label them or, I don't know, mark them some way so you know, or have some sort of method you're using to keep track, because if I don't, I get them rotated all the wrong ways. So, but again, it comes together really fast. So, I mean, I'm just doing 2 rows. 2 rows is going to, you know, probably take me less than 10 minutes to get them pieced together. The whole thing is 7 rows. So, easily something you could easily do pretty quickly. So, I'm doing these in batches of 2. So I know which way they go, and then I'll put the 2 together. It's kind of how I did it. But kind of, you know, work whatever method works for you to keep yourself on track. There's only 6 blocks in a row. So you can see how easy this could be to do in an afternoon, especially if you're just doing like a table runner like I'm doing, you know, something that's half the size. So I've got those 2. So then I'm just going to put these 2 together, and that gives me my 4 right away. And I just did that so I knew exactly which way my blocks needed to go together. And it just helps keep me on track. Oh, why those weren't lining up very well. Okay, so we have 4. You can start seeing what that looks like. Do little stair steps there. So let's do these last 2, and then I'll put these last 2 to it, and we'll have our row of 6. Just like that. I'm excited to see what the black and white look like. I think it's going to look pretty cool. So we'll have to decide what color thread we want to use. Maybe a red or a silver. I think red would show up really nicely. Silver would be kind of cool. And if we're doing that fun design to where we really want it to show up on the back, I could do a different colored, like solid backing with a fun color too, so that it shows up really nice both in the front and the back. Stuck on my papers over there. Okay. And this is going to be our row of 6. So I'm going to do 1 more like this. I'm going to go press this one, do 1 more like this. So we'll have our 2 rows of 6. And we'll see what it looks like and move on to our next steps. So I'll be right back. Okay, so these are 2 rows here we've got going on, 2 of 6. I can't get them quite all in the camera because it's kind of long right now, but Now we're just going to piece these 2 rows together. That's how easy it was. So the only seams we're matching up are these seams right here. So when I put the rows together, these I pressed all my seams one way, and those I pressed all my seams the other way. So that way I just can flip it over, nest them really nicely, and just piece these 2 together all the way down. So you can see how it creates the stair step effect. I think the black and white is really cool. I like it. I kind of wish I'd have done the full quilt as a black and white, but I still can. We get the pattern forever. So when I get another wild hair and have some time, I can make a full quilt or, yeah, but this will be a fun table runner too. So let's get these 2 rows pieced together, and then I'll throw a little border on it as well before we get to the ruler work, just to make it a little bit more substantial. And then we'll get on to the ruler work, which is what we're here for anyways. So let me get these 2 pieced together and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I've got my 2 rows. I did go ahead and pin them, and I pinned them at each seam as well. Again, these are the only 2 seams you really need to worry about as you're building it up. And so I just went ahead and pinned them, so hopefully it'll come together as nice as possible. Put a little clip up here to hold these 2 together too. And let me okay. So, and since I'm doing just these 2 rows, I'm going to go ahead and back stitch at this one. Even though I'm going to add a border on it, I just don't want it pulling apart there at the end. So just a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down, or a scant 1/4 inch, whichever you choose. Just keep it consistent through your whole project. I like this little wristband for all my pins. Then I can just pull them out, keep going. Make sure everything's nested pretty good. Should be when I pinned them. Kind of adjust stuff if you need to as you go. It is a long row, so things will shift a little bit. So definitely take your time and make sure your edges are all lined up. That seam got a little bunched up right there when I pinned it. So nice to take a look at that. Make sure everything looks good. Okay, so I'm going to throw a border on this. Do you guys think I should just stick with a black and white theme? Do just a black border, a white border, a black and white border? I don't know. Or a different color altogether. Let's get it pressed and see what it looks like first. Do a little back stitch. Okie dokie. These are our 2 rows. I'm going to go press them open and get a border put on this. Okay, so I wanted you guys to be able to see the 2 rows together. And look at that. Pretty cool with the black and white. You can already see the steps taking shape. I love it. I really like it. So I wanted you to see it actually pieced together, just those 2 rows, how quickly it came together, how fast. The seams are easy to line up. Really easy to do, guys. So if you're looking for a quick quilt project, this is it. So I am just going to take a few moments, decide what kind of border I want to pop on this for the runner, and then we'll get on to quilting. Okay, so I went ahead and threw on a 2.5-inch border. So I just did that on all 4 sides just to give it kind of a finished look. And then I've got my backing and batting on, so we're ready for quilting. I also like to pin just because we're going to be, pulling this off and on and off and on because we're going to be marking lines and stuff. It's nice to pin it. Even though I basted it too, the pinning just helps keep everything from shifting. When you're quilting, things shrink up, and then when you're kind of, when we're quilting this on the machine, it gets all messed up. So these pins really help a lot, I think, keep everything in place. So that's where I'm at right now. And this is, of course, what it looks like. And then we're going to do the rope and echo. So I'm going to use the rope and echo that was included in our club box. And I thought I would do the same thing that I did on the full size quilt that you guys saw. I'm going to do it at a diagonal, so 45. So I just found the center of my table runner. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so this is the center, and I'm just doing a 45 diagonal, and that's going to be my starting point. And then from there, I'll just keep that same angle as I work my way to the ends on each side. So normally I'll do this first one, and then I'll pick a side and just do all my rows on that side, and then I'll come and do all my rows on that side. So you don't have to do it that way. You can do a traditional border and just go up and down if you like as well. I just thought the diagonal gave it kind of a fun look, a little bit of a twist to it. So I'm going to do that. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, if you felt like a big quilt is overwhelming, this, again, a table runner looks great. It's awesome. You still get the effect of the steps on it. So don't be intimidated. 12 of these blocks, and you can have a fun table runner, throw a border on it. Easy peasy project to do. And then you can do some ruler work and practice your ruler work quilting. So again, so I just found my center point, draw my 45 diagonal line, and then on the template, you'll see that there's these etched lines right here for the middle. So I am going to start, I'll go over to the machine and do this, but I'm going to be starting. I'm going to get probably as close to the edge as I can because I want it to take up the whole thing. And I'm just going to keep this on that same angle and work my border all the way across. And that's going to be my first run, and then we'll take a look at it. And then from there, how far I want them spaced from each other is totally up to me. There's also these other reference lines down here. So I can use those to space the next one, and then I can keep that same spacing for each of the rows that I do continuous from here on out. So let's head over to the machine. I'll get myself set up, and we'll do this first row. Okay, so I've got myself set up here. You can see why I pinned it. Everything gets a little bunchy here, but I just did my first rotation. So you start at the A, you go all the way around back to B. Then you're going to be coming, you move the template, and you'll come to your back to A again. So we're just going to keep working that way. And I'm going to use that little etched lines there to keep myself on the same angle all the way across this 45 that we drew. So yeah, I'm going to keep going, and then you can use the other etched lines. You'll see how they kind of will match up to make sure they'll come over your previous stitched lines. And that kind of helps to just keep everything lined up and making sure you're staying on the same angle. And then also, if you want, find my spacing gauge buried here. So you can also use your spacing gauge to just double check right here where this previous stitch line was. Obviously we want to touch that again. So sometimes you can kind of just use that if you feel like you're a little off. Sometimes it does take a little bit of adjustment as you're working your way across, especially when you're doing it at an angle, which is fine. Just kind of take your time. And so I come back up here, Let me slow down my machine here in a second when I get done with this rotation. I'm going to I should be able to hit that stitch line, and I'm going to come back to B and stop. And then I'll move my template. I'm going to slow this down just a little bit. Take a little bit of time, and again, I can use this as well at the top to make sure that I hit my stitch line up there. Make sure everything kind of looks good and is lined up. Everything kind of looks like it's lined up pretty good. I'll just work my way back up. I feel like it's going pretty fast. Problem is, if I go too fast, then it starts doing little jammy stuff. So I'm going to turn that down again. Scooch it over, make sure everything's lined up. There we go. Go back again. So obviously this is going to take some time. This is a small border. Doing it at the angle too kind of takes it a little bit longer, but this is just a table runner size. So this is much better than when I did the full quilt. I will say that. But it is a good practice for working with the template and yeah, just being consistent. You get that repetitive motion down. It is a cool design. Easy to use template. And apparently I put my pens exactly where I needed to go on this first go round. So let me move this pen real quick. I like these little curved pens here. Put it up over there. Get it out of the way, but still. Okay. See, how many ropes do we think it's going to take to do this first one? We'll find out, huh? I have the same color thread in my bobbin. Make sure I'm lined up. I didn't really take time lining it up on that last one. You can tell a little bit. Let me do a little bit better this time. And also, what I think I need to do is change my staple tape on the back of my template. I'm going to do that right now too. So after a while, sometimes it gets kind of smushed down a little bit, and then it doesn't hold as well. Kind of slipped on me there. So I'm going to put some fresh on. Cut a couple little strips here. Need a lot, but they do get, when you've done a lot of ruler work with it, which I did with this template for sure, they do kind of get smashed down a little bit, and then feel like they don't grip as well. Give myself a couple new ones here. You don't want that template moving around on you when you're trying to move the fabric and the template. There we go. Back up on this. All right, keep going here. Get myself lined back up. That's much better. Definitely it was moving on me a little bit. And with all of the other things going on, you definitely don't want to be fighting that as well. Trying to find my right speed here that fits. Myself lined up. Use that a little bit to make sure that that's correct. And sometimes when you're doing this for a while and you're doing a long thing like this, you can kind of forget to take time to line things up, or sometimes I'll start moving the fabric before my needles started moving, and then that can mess up your stitches. So something good to think about too. All those little things to keep in mind is good practice. This is a nice repetitive one where it gives you, you get to practice all that kind of stuff. There's a few that I kind of got a little haywire on, but like they say, in the grand scheme of things, when it's all done and you look at it all together, you're not going to see all those little, like, see right there, I was busy yakking and I got away from my template. That's all right. Don't think we'll notice very much. Okay, getting close to the edge here. So, line that up, making sure my angle still looks good. Staying along that template there. Another line there. We go all the way out into my border too. I want it to be that nice full edge to edge look. And then I'm just going to finish with the last one. I'm just going to follow this back up here into my edge where I can cut it. Then I don't need to worry about pulling up my threads because they're not going to be on the back of the quilt there. So that is the first row. Let's see how many ropes it took. 30 ropes, so 30 repeats. Not too bad. Anyways, that's what that's going to look like. So from here, the nice thing that we can do is, let me get my ruler. We can decide where we want the next row, how much space we want between them. So we have the lines here that we can use. So I can go, let's see. Oh, I think I did it above. Yeah, that's what I did. So we're going to work our way up. Because in that way I can use these etched lines right here and just keep it consistent at the top of this one. So I'm going to mark where this new center line is going to be, decide how much space I want between them. I think I'm going to do all three. So what is that? I have a little ruler here. Yeah, so it's about a ½ inch. So if I use this as my guide, so I'll have a couple points of reference. I'll be able to use this line, bottom line right here. I'm going to make sure is at the top of the previous row. And then I'm going to use those etched lines. I'm going to draw a new diagonal line, and that way I'll be able to line up my template here and line up my template here, and that'll keep this next row consistently spaced. Keep it at the one at the same angle and then spaced consistently away from this one as I do my second row. So I'm going to take this over there, mark my new line, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my next line drawn. Get my, let's see how it gets all bundled up here. Okay, get myself back on line here. So I drew my new line. So I've got the top of this bottom line here on the template, just right at the top of this row. And then I'm going to use these lines up here again to keep myself on that same plane as I work my way across and do my next set of rows. Easy as that. And again, it's nice you have those multiple points of reference. So, and that does help to really kind of keep everything looking consistent again. So, myself a few stitches here. And if you are doing a bigger one, this may be where you want to pull out your suspension system. If you feel like you're having trouble with, it being bulky. I know I did a little bit when I was doing the full-size quilt. So if you feel like that's the same, get yourself some extra support there. That way you don't have the pull of the fabric working against you as well. working our way across, making sure I'm lined up down there, lined up right here. I want to make sure that's going to be lined up. I got lots of areas to kind of help keep myself on track. I find coming down and doing this bottom one, the bottom part is the most difficult for me. Not sure why. I think it's just the angle of working with a template. Make sure that's lined up there. So going this way, it's not, but coming back the other way, it is. Sometimes you'll find that going one way works better, or it flows better with a template than the other way. Yeah. Well, I just keep putting all of these little pins right where I need to be. Let's put you back down here where I'm not going. Okay. Line up right there. Line up right there. Hold that part up out of the way. Get that out of the way. Okay. Using all my reference lines. Sometimes it can just be your machine too. I know some machines do really good going in a certain direction and not so good going in another direction. So sometimes that can just be the case. He's kind of struggling down here at the bottom, so I think I'm going to just slow down a little bit. Wait for my template there. Okay, so this is 2 rows done. So just made it all the way done or down to the other end. That's what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to use the template again wherever I ran off with it, and use that same spacing, create my new line, and just keep working my way down the table runner. That same degree of line that I'm using. So I'll go mark my next line, and then I'll do a few more rows and I'll come back and check in. That way you're not watching me just sitting here doing rows and rows and rows over again. So I'll do a few, we'll come check in, look at it, do a couple, come in and check in and look at it, and keep doing that until we get it done. All right, I'll be back in a few. Here's a little sneak peek check-in where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 rows done. That's kind of what it's looking like. It looks pretty good. And I'm going to keep going. I'm almost to the end of this side. So we've probably got 1, 2, maybe 3 more rows to do. And then we'll be done with that side, and then I'll iron it and we'll look at this whole side done before we get started on the other side. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to see what it looks like. This is halfway done. So this side, that probably took me about an hour to do this side. To, quilt the rows, lay out the next row, get it lined up, and then quilt it. So that took me about an hour. So I think it'll take about an hour to do the rest of this. So not bad, a couple hours. I think it looks really nice. Yeah, you kind of just get in a flow and you just go. And if you look at it really close, there's places where I got away from the template a little bit. So it's definitely not perfect by any means. But you don't see it when you're looking at the whole thing. So if you do try it and you're getting into it and you've messed up a little bit, just keep going. That would be my biggest advice, is don't focus on it. Just keep going, get the row finished, because when you do get it finished, you just don't see all those, the little flaws that happen. And it does happen, your arms get tired, or if you're me, I start daydreaming while I'm doing my ruler work, and the next thing I know, I'm not even following my template. So, stuff happens. You just keep going and you get it finished, and you'll be really proud of what you do. So a great way to use that border template. So again, this is about halfway. Didn't take, it took a little bit of time, but not that long when you're thinking about how fast it comes together with the piecing. So then you have extra time to do the ruler work and practice with it. So I just wanted you guys to see it since we're about midway through. And I'll go back to the machine and I'll film a little bit more getting started on this next half. And then hopefully we'll get it finished here pretty soon. We're halfway. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like it? Does it look like a lot of work? Does it look easy? Are you going to try it? I hope some of you do try it. I would love to see what you come up with. And even if you did just like a little table topper, so you could just do 6 blocks and give it a go. So these would, 2, 4, 6 would be about almost half. And that would be a cute little table topper as well. So anyways, we'll get back at it. Okay, we are getting close to the end. I've probably got two rows left to do maybe. And my arms are tired. This has been a lot of fun. I'm excited to show you how it all looks. But yeah, I'm just gonna finish up. I got a couple more rows here. So I was gonna say too, when you're getting to, like, say I put this border on, I'm gonna use my backing as my binding. So I don't wanna do the whole shape into the batting here because I'm gonna end up cutting that off. And I don't want it sewed to the backing. So I'm just gonna do partial designs right here at the edge. And that way I'm not getting into that area that I don't want to get into. So yeah, I'm just lining up those same reference points we talked about early on. The middle line, the line on the bottom, so I know how far my spacing is away from each row. And moving right along. Had a few hiccups here and there. My thread caught in a few places, and but nothing I can't live with. I think in the end it'll all look pretty good. So this is a lot of ruler work practice if you are looking to do that and want to use this template for it. It's a nice, good repetitive motion. Oops, got away from my template there a little bit again. See, it happens. We just keep going. One thing I've noticed with this, I used different batting than what I normally use. I was just kind of using some scrap batting that I had. I don't think it was as nice as batting. I don't even know what kind it is. But I noticed, even though I have a fresh needle and everything, it catches a lot more. So I just thought I would mention that if you have a lot of issues with, say, even with using a good needle, and um, you still have issues when you're doing ruler work or you're in that setting and it catches your thread or something. Maybe it's your batting, could be your batting. I've never had as many issues before, and it's just, again, I don't know what kind of batting this is. It definitely feels a little less expensive than other battings. So maybe that makes a difference and it can catch your needle a lot more. And then, of course, it kind of tangles my thread and whatnot. So I just thought I'd mention that, something I noticed when I was working on this project. Anyways, overall, I'm pretty pleased with how I think it's going to turn out. And then I think I'm going to be done with ropes for a while. After doing the full-size quilt and then this, I think I've done probably 1,000 ropes. I will be ready to tackle a new template. But I am super excited to use this one in the future, play around with the different sizes. I do have all the different sizes as well and different shapes. So I am excited to play around with some different ropes. Try something different. Do more border designs or like this, a more edge to edge design. I can tell my arms are getting tired a little bit too because I'm pulling it away from the template a little bit. Oops. Something got stuck there. Oh well. I lined up sort of here. Kind of got off track there. And again, I'm just going right into my border. Give it that full like edge to edge look to it. And then where you stop is up to you. If you want to, see a little bit of a design, like a half of one here or leave it open. It kind of depends on how big it was, whether I was, and I'm not going to even follow it right there. See, so my binding won't get that. But I did want that partial rope design there, so. All right, so this is how it's looking. I'm going to go ahead and mark my last reference line. I think I'll get probably one more and then maybe like a half one up here. And then we'll be done. Okay, so here it is. It's going to be a little hard to get the whole thing on camera, but hopefully you can see most of it on there. And that's going to be what the back looks like. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Again, there's, little areas that weren't perfect, but all in all, you don't really notice it. And again, I really like doing it on the diagonal. I think that just gives it a little bit more of a different look. So to just review, because that was a lot of quilting, I want to make sure everybody understood how I did this. So what I did is I just found the center of the table runner, which we did 12 blocks, so 6 blocks. So my center was just right here. And then from there, I found my 45-degree angle. And then that's where I started. So I drew a 45-degree line. And then that's where I started my first row. And that's all I did to get started. And then from there, you just build on your rows, keeping at that same angle. And again, I used the edged lines on the template for my spacing. And so you could have them as close or further away as you wanted. You could put a further space between them and then do something in between the borders if you wanted to as well. Just to give it a different look if you're looking for something different. Like you could have done the echoes, you can kind of see in here. Let's see if I get that up with the camera. You could do a row of the ropes and then something in between or some echoing in between, if you wanted to mix it up a little bit. But anyways, that's how I did it. So then once I quilted the one row, then again, I used the template and I lined it up, keeping that same angle. And what I did is I just put a little mark here, came to the other side, put a little mark here, took a ruler, draw my next line. And then again, that's what I'm using. And then using those two middle ones to line up and quilt the next row. And then you just keep doing that as you work your way out and you get that nice diagonal. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of quilting, but it was good practice. I really liked it. And I think just the overall look, it just gives it a really stunning overall look to it. So I think that was it was a lot of fun. Um, so anyways, give it a try. And if you're a little intimidated, just do something small. You could even do a placemat size too. You don't have to do a whole table runner. You could just do 6 blocks. Is even with 6 blocks, you still get to see a little bit of the step. And then do a little bit of practice of doing that on the diagonal. And it'll cut down how many ropes you have to do. So it won't be quite so many, but or dive right in and do a table runner. And you wanted to be a little ambitious, but yeah, I hope you guys like it. I hope you get a chance to play around with it. Check out our other ropes that we have on our website too. They do come in different sizes and different shapes, and they're a lot of fun. So anyways, enjoy and we'll see you next time.